also is that even in 1963, when Martin King gave his "I Have a Dream" speech, you know, he was very prophetic, a very great faith in America, because he was speaking in the future. Just think about it. He really believed deeply in his heart that there would be an America, okay, where the great grandsons of slaves and slave owners would sit down at the table of brotherhood. He really believed that there would come a time when a person would be judged by the content of their character. So that, and by the way, during the civil rights movement, during his leadership, is that we understood that we had to reach the conscience of the majority of the people, African Americans, who are 12% of the population. We knew that there was not going to be any fundamental change unless we were able to persuade 88%, the majority of the white people.
That wasn't black.
That's right, that wasn't black. And I think that this election confirms something that I've seen, as Jerry Springer said, a 20-year period.
Okay.
There are people, that's where the majority of Americans are.
Let me bring Michael Portillo in. Michael, why do you think Mr. Obama won?
I think it was extremely difficult for McCain to win because he was following Bush's legacy. Even so, McCain was only about 1% behind when the financial crisis hit in late September. So I think the financial crisis made McCain's plight a great deal worse.
And he still got 47% of the vote.
Yeah, I mean, I thought McCain was a fantastic candidate, actually. You know,
what
he was.
about Sarah Palin?
No,
that killed him. That killed him with a lot of independence.
Yeah, that probably didn't help either. Can I just contribute to the general discussion? I think there is racism all over the world, and because there's also a lot of anti-Americanism all over the world, a lot of people have supposed that the United States is an unusually racist country. I think actually the United States has made unbelievable progress. And it's worth saying, by the way, although I heard what Jerry said about George Bush, and George Bush had Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice as Secretaries of State, two black people. And George Bush only got elected in the first place because of his extraordinary empathy with a Hispanic community, an empathy which probably he lost along the way. But at the beginning, he had that too.
I want to say something about Jerry's business. I want to say, let's make the point when you talk about that. I think Jerry, in 1980, one of the most momentous decisions that had an effect on the conditioning of white people was when Brandon Tartikoff green-lighted The Cosby Show, okay? In 1980, when NBC
went out on network television.
On network television. He was the head of program.
And it was about a black family.
That's what I'm saying.
Middle-class black family.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, so you had that experience. You had the Cosby Show. And then you had, and by the way, although I had certain differences with President Bush, there is no question the appointment of Condoleezza Rice as Secretary of State, and Colin Powell was the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and Secretary of State, like a Tiger Woods, like the Williams sisters, like Michael Jordan. All of this dealt with the conditioning of the white mind to the.
So this is the culmination of a process rather than just a break with the past.
Oh, it's been a process for quite some time. And by the way, I did not mean to say, and I should say that George Bush has any bad racial record at all. No, I'm saying the world's view of America was their view of George Bush primarily because of the Iraq War, not having to do with race.
But let's not forget that Obama did fight a brilliant campaign, a much more disciplined and focused campaign than Hillary and then McCain.
So tell us, Diane, what is the effect of this election, the result of it, going to be on British Afro-Caribbeans?
Well, I'm really struck, talking and texting and emailing friends around the world, how transfixed people are by it. Because, it's catalytic and it will have an effect almost despite what Obama does or doesn't do.
It will have an effect on British politics. I mean, every major development here has some kind of effect on British politics.
Well,
yes, but I think that probably Britain ought to be quite ashamed of where it's got to. I mean, we have not had a Secretary of State, someone at that level in our government who's black. And blacks are doing better in politics than they are in other fields. I mean, how many CEOs of major companies are black? What is the highest rank a black has held in the armed forces?
To show you that America
we are well behind the United States.
America has a capacity for renewal, which we don't necessarily have.
But let's just be clear. Are we really saying we're beginning a post-racial society, or are we not in danger of getting carried away with the euphoria?
No.
The black kid in the ghetto tonight isn't really any better off. He has a role model, but he might not be any better off.
I'm not suggesting that the election of Barack Obama means that all of a sudden we have eliminated poverty, that all of a sudden there aren't discrepancies between those that have and those that don't. No, What I am saying, though, is there is not a parent in America today that could not look at their own child of any race, of any religion, of any background, and say to that child that if you study, if you work hard, if you play by the rules, if you do the right thing, that you don't have a chance of making it. That excuse is now gone.
Clarence?
But we still have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely. I think also I think in a society where we're dealing with the internet and Blackberries and cell phones, I'm thinking of the elementary power of words. You know, words like hope and change you can believe in. The elementary power of words. Remember, Obama started his campaign on the courthouse steps in Springfield, Illinois, and he said, "I am running," quoting Martin King, "because of the fierce urgency of now." All right.
And that stuck with the campaign.
That's right. But the power of words have had a tremendous effect, an inspirational effect.
Tell you what worries me, Diane. It's the inflated expectations. There was a bit on TV tonight that black kids in Africa were thinking, now we've got a black president, my life is going to be better. He's bound to disappoint.
I think it's comparable to the election of JFK, of the Kennedys, because before that it had not seemed credible, people forget this, that an urban Catholic could become president. And what that gave the Kennedys this loyalty from that urban Catholic vote, which has endured. And I think ordinary black Americans, not people like my good friend Jesse Jackson, but ordinary black Americans will never be able to forget what's happened today.
But he has the in-tray from hell. Two wars, Iran, Afghanistan, a recession, financial meltdown, Wall Street behind me, going through the worst time since 1929.
Yeah, well, in a way, he's very, very lucky that the financial crisis happened in September. I mean, I'm assuming for the moment that the worst is over. I think probably it is. But it will always be perfectly clear on whose watch that financial crisis first grew up. I think most presidents have the in-tray from hell. I mean, we didn't know that George W. Bush was going to have September the 11th. But September the 11th was really as bad as an in-tray gets. Now, in a bad in-tray, you also have fantastic opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, he has the mandate, he has the opportunity, he has a crisis. If he realizes how much power he's got at this moment and doesn't waste his first term, he has amazing opportunities.
You just feel this young man on these slim shoulders as the weight of the world.
Well, I'm sure that's what he's feeling. But I really think there's a need to take pause, because part of his message, I think, is that America doesn't call all the shots anymore. This idea of he's going to fix the world and he will eliminate poverty in Africa and he will eliminate poverty in Harlem, here in New York City, that's unrealistic. There used to be a time, right after the Second World War, in the midst of the Cold War, where you could get an American president and the American Congress, and if they could get together, you could really do big things in the world. But now, the American government no longer runs the world economy. Everything is global.
And you need
we
to
are the
cooperate.
most powerful country, but
Okay.
we're only a citizen of the world.
All right.
We don't own it.
We're running out of time on this.